The first siren is not a warning. It's the sound of civilization collapsing. Within minutes, the streets fill with screams, and the air turns heavy with rot and gunpowder. The infection has begun, and everyone is running toward one place they believe is safe. They're wrong. Subscribe to Think What If for more stories that push your imagination to the edge.
We want to assure everyone that the situation is under control. The localized outbreak is being managed by the National Guard, who are being deployed across
The news calls it a localized outbreak. Governments urge calm, promising that the military has it contained. But the numbers don't lie. Hospitals are overrun. Paramedics stop answering calls. By sunset, the infection curve is vertical. And yet, through the noise, a message spreads faster than the virus itself. Head to the safe zone. It flashes across phones, radios, and televisions. It sounds like hope. It feels like survival. But by the end of day one, it becomes the reason most people die. You stand at your window and watch the smoke rise. Sirens echo between buildings. Your neighbor packs his car, shouting that there's a convoy heading north. He swears the safe zone has walls, soldiers, and food. You feel that instinct, that surge to move, to run, to follow. It feels logical. Everyone wants safety. But safety, in the first 24 hours, is a myth built on panic. Every road to the safe zone becomes a funnel of chaos, a trap that feeds the infection. The virus itself isn't a fantasy. Scientists have seen versions of it before. Rabies, for instance, rewires the brain, suppresses fear, and triggers aggression. Cordyceps fungi in nature hijacked insect minds, forcing them to climb higher before bursting into spores. In labs, researchers have even modified viruses to target neurons for medical treatment. One mutation, one containment breach, and that experiment becomes a nightmare. The zombie virus isn't impossible. It's biological logic pushed too far. You grab your bag. You think you're being smart. You have water, food, and a knife. The roads are jammed, engines roaring in both directions. You hear gunfire somewhere distant, then closer. Panic turns highways into graveyards. People abandon cars and run on foot. They don't know what's waiting ahead. They don't realize that the safe zone is already compromised. In a real outbreak, researchers predict that major cities would collapse in less than 48 hours. Viral models based on rabies and Ebola suggest the infection could reach every continent in a week. Scientists at the CDC have quietly admitted that no nation is truly ready. But in the chaos of day one, the public never waits for data. They run for the illusion of safety. They run toward the signal that says controlled area. You're stuck on the highway now. The radio still promises hope. You hear helicopters overhead, but you can't see them. Smoke covers the sky. A child cries in the back seat of the car beside you. Then you see movement ahead. People are pushing through barricades, soldiers shouting orders, and then one scream cuts through the noise. The first breach. What would you do now? Do you run forward or turn back? Do you risk everything for the promise of a wall? By midnight, drone footage shows the truth. The safe zone is gone. The infection spread faster than military evacuation plans could adapt. People who reached it first brought the virus with them. Inside those walls, chaos multiplied. The strong turned on the weak. Medical tents became feeding grounds. No one outside knew yet. They kept coming. Inside real containment zones, scientists once studied how panic fuels contagion. In the 2014 Ebola outbreak, fear made people lie about symptoms, hide from doctors, and flee before testing. The more humans move, the faster the pathogen wins. A zombie virus would exploit that perfectly. Motion spreads infection. Stillness preserves survival. You finally turn off the highway, driving toward the countryside. The city burns behind you. You find a gas station with lights still on. The doors are locked from inside. Someone whispers through the glass, "Keep moving, they're coming." You see blood on their sleeve. You don't know if it's theirs. You don't ask. This is the moment where survival stops being instinct and becomes calculation. Every decision matters. Sound, smell, movement, each one can get you killed. You hear rustling behind the gas pumps. You freeze. Breathing feels loud. The infected don't sleep. They don't reason. They respond to movement, to heat, to blood. Scientists studying rabies found that the virus manipulates animal behavior by invading the limbic system. It forces aggression. It heightens response to sound and motion. In advanced infection, the human equivalent would lose control of higher thought. Pain vanishes. Fear vanishes. What's left is hunger and speed. You think the forest is safer. It's not. In a real pandemic, wildlife would become secondary carriers: mosquitoes, rodents, birds. Pathogens adapt. Viruses that begin blood-borne can evolve into airborne forms under the right pressure. History has seen it before. Influenza mutated in pigs. Coronaviruses crossed species. A zombie virus that shifts transmission routes would end containment completely. Somewhere in the distance, you hear the echo of a loudspeaker. Proceed to the safe zone. Medical help available. The same voice repeats every 5 minutes. The same promise. It's a trap, looping endlessly for anyone desperate enough to believe. By the second day, global communications collapsed. Satellites still function, but no one's left to control them. Cities glow with fires. Oceans fill with abandoned ships. Yet in isolated labs, a few scientists remain alive, documenting what they see. They describe the virus as neurotropic, spreading through the nervous system, overriding human control. One report describes synchronized movement among infected groups, as if they share a hive-like connection. The virus isn't random anymore. It's learning. You find an old farmhouse. You lock the door. You sit in the dark and listen. Every creak sounds like a threat. Your phone battery is at 3%. A single notification flashes on your screen. Safe zone relocated. Coordinates updated. You stare at it for minutes. You know it's suicide, but hope whispers louder than reason. Why do humans always move toward the signal, even when it kills them? Maybe because isolation feels like death. Maybe because we're wired to believe that safety is found together, not alone. But in the world after day one, connection spreads contagion. The people who survive are the ones who stop moving, who stop trusting, who stop hoping. By the third night, the survivors who stayed put are still alive. The ones who went to the safe zone are gone. Some scientists believe that if humanity ever faces a real infection like this, survival won't depend on weapons or walls. It will depend on stillness, in silence, on the ability to resist the instinct to run. You wake at dawn. The world outside is quiet. The sun cuts through the fog. You can smell smoke and wet earth. You think maybe it's over. Then you hear a voice in the wind. Safe zone secure. Proceed to the checkpoint. The same lie, still looping, still calling. You feel that pull again, that ancient need for safety, for belonging. In a world of infection, the first enemy is not the virus, it's hope. 3 times the radio repeats it. Safe zone, safe zone, safe zone. The words that led millions to their death. You turn it off and walk outside. The silence feels heavier than the screams ever did. You realize that surviving isn't about finding safety. It's about accepting the world as it is now. The virus isn't gone. It's patient. I'm waiting for the next decision. The first siren wasn't a warning. It was a test. and almost no one passed. Subscribe to Think What If for more worlds you should never forget.